All right, guys, welcome to the Tuesday, the 10th of March, and you're getting the trade recap, all right? So since I'm a bit tired, I'm actually really hungry, I'm going to just be quite quick with it, okay? So look at my calendar. No news that would provide any instantaneous volatility, okay, or spontaneous volatility. Um, Weekly, so we still have similar price action to yesterday. We sweep out that low and we fail to displace below. So we're looking to be relatively bullish just by looking at the daily candle, okay? I forgot to hone in on the candles, but we can see that we close below, right? We close below. But it's a very bullish candle, right? And it's obviously it's a gap. And also if we take out the range lows, okay? Obviously I was like that could provide for some bearishness as well, okay? So on the 4 hour, price disrespects the opening gap, which is quite important. And it reaches a 4 hour gap in which we can see it rejecting off of it. And we have a 4 hour gap here, okay? So on the 4 hour price disrespects the liquidity void and displaces through it. We're looking to get some resistance at this barrier for running up at the top of the displacement leg that began running down here. We also have a bullish gap that the price may reach into. Okay, overall though, we do look bullish apart from the fact that it looks like we are going to get a down close candle on that bearish gap. This could be the reason for a pullback into IROR before continuing on higher. Okay, looking at the 1 hour, we get SMT. Yeah, okay, we get SMT. We were moving very bullish yesterday. So look, respecting down close candles, moving on higher. Okay, currently see any. This is the only down close candle that was respected technically. Okay. But you can see, yeah, move on higher, tap into this gap. This was the trade that I wish I took yesterday. Would have waited all the way into PM and we had that massive spike up, okay? So yeah, we get a disrespect of a bullish gap on the hourly here. So right at the top of the range where we take out the sell side, we disrespect and we move below this hourly gap, okay, on both assets, which could give reason for lower prices. So we have this bearish SMT and then this displacement of the gap, okay? So middle opening price just does the same thing as yesterday where it just moves on higher. Okay, there is no move down before move higher. This could be a move up before move lower, but we don't know yet. Okay. There's a lot of info regarding midnight opening price to see if it is a move lower before a move lower before a move higher. Okay. Let me just get rid of that. Or if we will continue higher. Okay. So London session, we see a rally into that 4 hour bearish gap. Okay. Much better seen on ES. So we can see we run in and we actually reject from it. So we respect it. Okay. NQ kind of moves a little bit higher. And that's fine. Good suggestion. We could look to see lower prices reaching areas of internal liquidity as well as swing lows. So areas where maybe here, and then we have that massive gap. Okay. I want to see the 1 hour bullish gap get completely closed in on both assets. Okay. So this hourly bullish gap to be completely closed through and disrespected. Okay. And disrespected. Okay. I'm quite confident that we might move lower given the 4 hour being respected. Okay. So here, this is that massive hourly gap. Okay. And this is also the gap where we displace through it. Okay. What I could see happen is price comes into this hourly gap. Okay, this one. All right. Takes out those lows, these swing lows, equal lows, okay? Respects the gap and then continues on reaching external liquidity. Remember that the overall bias is now relatively bullish given yesterday's price action. London could provide with a London reversal and then a New York. So this is the reversal. We take out this key area and we have a move lower. And then New York continues lower into areas of internal liquidity. But yeah, for now, I was just staying very conditional, okay? So I was looking at this gap, see if it's going to get respected or not, okay? So post-market, market has opened, okay? And the important thing I'm looking at is these gaps, okay? So if the 4 hour continues to get respected, then we can see lower prices, okay? So obviously, if this gap gets, this one here gets respected, okay? We can see lower prices, okay? If we close through the bearish gap on the 1 hour, however, so this one here, the bearish gap, if we close through it, I'm willing to look for higher prices. Okay. This is what I'm looking at in a minute. So the hourly gaps. Okay. I'm interested in seeing what happens within this bearish gap. Okay. It looks as though we are closing away from it, which is what I saw initially, which was like 12 minutes into market open. So we are obviously respecting it. Okay. I think the ultimate booster here would be seeing us displace out of that bullish gap too. So we have this bullish gap, and I was going to be quite bearish if we were to disrespect it here. Okay. Now, the 15-minute candle shows price respecting the gap. So price comes in on ES and respects it cleanly. Okay. Enki obviously struggles a little bit, but we do see a 15-minute gap that it reaches into. Okay. I'll continue to wait for a setup. I hope that the intermediate high does not get disrespected, aka this one here, right? Otherwise, it can cause uncertainty for my entry going short, and obviously that means that my bias was incorrect. So this was my trade idea. We had the a 5-minute displacement. Okay, we reached into a 5-minute gap, and then this is the 1-minute displacement leg after we respect it and move lower, and it was on the first fair value gap. Okay, it was a 2-minute here. Okay, so it's right here. It was a 2-minute, and I entered right there. Okay, so price kind of doubles down, moves lower, takes out this swing low, and then it reaches my stop loss. Okay, so here I was just curious to seeing the reason for the stop loss and like what I could possibly have learned from this trade. Okay, so we see price just continuing on higher and kind of disrespecting this area. Okay, so a lesson on today's trading could be that we try to enter too early on this trade. One thing that I've noticed quite frequently is that when price wicks out a fair value gap, so let me show you guys this value. You see how we wick through it, completely wick through it. Price likes to come back in, retest, and then obviously either displace through it or move lower. Okay. Come back and have a body close either through it, disrespecting it, or closing it and respect it. I'll put a screenshot of this later. Okay. So on that hourly gap, we actually can't see anything yet. But what I do mention is what could also be the case here is the 15-minute SMT, right? So NQ creates equal lows right here, okay? Where ES, we sweep, okay? This could be the fuel as to what's driving price higher right now. So we went from external back into internal, okay? These gaps, which could be the drawback into that hourly bearish gap. Once again, I'm speaking in hindsight, but I'm interested in seeing what price does. In terms of the actual trade, I follow my strategy, and the day does look like it begins to move bearish once that 4-hour gap was respected. We displaced out the 1-hour bullish gaps moving lower. Yesterday's price action was very bullish, and today could be the pivot in continuing the bullishness. Okay, the only reason I do not feel super certain of that is because of that 4-hour gap being respected. Okay, even though the higher time frame is bullish, we do respect this gap. Okay. However, it could be simply a day where I just read the market condition incorrectly. For that rally that has generated the stop loss getting hit, there is not a trade opportunity visible to take along had I been bullish. Okay, I'm not going to say for some reason because there is always a reason. I will log the trade and continue to update when I feel like I've understood why I lost. Okay. Other than that, risk management was good, 1% only, and that's okay with me. I followed my strategy and current market bias. Right, the entire point is your psychology and staying disciplined. Okay, sticking to a plethora of rules guarantees some form of success, no, regardless of what you're achieving here. Okay, so here, I actually want to pull up the chart and just kind of assess what happened. So, what do? We're riding on through this bearish gap. Okay, we see price coming into it twice and kind of respecting it. Okay, so oh, sorry. What I do want to see here is though this gap, right? This hourly gap didn't actually really provide anything of importance. I mean, price did reach into it again. Okay, you see price reaching into it, but it does not sweep, right? Which is a bit unfortunate. Here we displaced below. To be fair, this market just kind of seems like it's a whole chop, isn't it? Like we can just see we're chopping, right? All in the high time frame. Same thing here. We're moving relatively bullish, but we're disrespecting bullish fair value gaps and bearish ones. It's not clear, right? It's completely not clear. Yesterday's price action was very clear. Today's is not quite clear. Okay, so here we could actually have, obviously this is the week's low, and we can push on higher. Why? Because the daily we have this sweep, okay, with the range lows. Okay, the sweep with the range lows, right? But yeah, The Saudi gap following the rally into London's highs is being ran into. It is important for me to look at this level and see what happens. Now, if you respect it, my bias was wrong and I was looking too fractally, right? That means I was looking too much on the lower time frame rather than looking at the bigger picture. In other words, paying attention to yesterday's price action, right, where we were moving extremely bullish. Okay. But yeah, if we do disrespect it, right, okay, move lower from this point, it was simply a thing where I just entered too early. Okay. Overall, we do end up respecting this gap. We're closing on the wick perfectly, and then we obviously see some reaction higher. Right, it's the same thing as here though, where we respect it, we move lower, but then obviously we push back through it again, right? And I feel like we're going to chop away for the rest of the day. As a result, this leads to the conclusion that I had an incorrect bias intraday, right? We were remaining bullish, continuing from yesterday's price action, and I had failed to notice that. I took a short when it was not reasonable to. Also noticed within my entry, we were bouncing off those 1 hour gaps, right? So we're moving from the bullish gap back up to the bearish gap, creating a form of uncertainty, okay? So let me just show you what I mean. Where I took my entry here, right, we have this bullish gap, right? So we're bouncing from here to here. We also have a bullish gap here and a bearish gap. So we're kind of bouncing within this range, right? We're in a range. Simple as that. Look, this is a range, right? From here to here, price is always traveling back into equilibrium. Every time it's getting the opportunity to, is going back into equilibrium. Why? Because people in the auction are getting fair prices. Okay, this is just like a mock trade. I was kind of just interested in seeing if maybe price would continue low for the rest of the day. And yeah, we kind of just stop here. I think maybe like an hourly something, right? But yeah, you can see we are generating low resistance liquidity now, which is going to be a pinpoint. Going to be an interesting factor to take into account. But yeah, if we take all of this off, take all this noise off, what do we see? Relative bullishness. Okay, so we see Sunday we reach the opening gap, we move a little bit lower, pull back, right, retracement, move higher, retracement into this gap, explosion, we take out resting buy side liquidity on the opening gap, consolidation, manipulation, we distribute lower, higher time frame pullback, we push even higher. Okay, so that's what happens. Okay, hope you guys learned something from this trade recap. I did. But yeah, that's that. You're not getting a back test from me. I want to do it in my own time, kind of just my own thoughts. But yeah, that's that. And I'll see you lot tomorrow. Bye bye.